To love mercy. This lesson today for me personally is about priorities. It's about choosing between mercy and justice. Choosing between between God's law and man's laws. This study is about choosing what do we love more.
What does it mean to love mercy? In previous lessons we talked how experiencing mercy and grace in our own lives produce change. And this week we look at some of the ways how this manifests in practicality.
And right from the beginning, the lesson is about setting out priorities right when it comes to obedience to government and authorities. And since this is strongly encouraged by the biblical message, sometimes it seems confusing when we're instructed by authority to do something that is against our conscience. Rightful example is slavery for me personally. Legalized, lawful, and protected by civil laws, it was, it's still, and it will be one of the worst ways to exploit people and dehumanize women and men. So, do we choose justice or mercy for any enslaved person? Which one do we love more?
I don't think that this is the right focus here. The point is not on justice nor lawfulness. When we accept Jesus as our Creator and Savior, the way we look at life changes. It's not just about surviving anymore. What to eat, where to shelter, how to provide. These are still very important items, but the prism and the priority changes. Because now we have the biggest power in the universe taking care of us. This doesn't mean that I should feel entitled, become lazy and careless. It means that we are in a new mission now, realizing that and saying, God, how can I help? God still wants me to work hard, to plan, to develop, to grow, but more as a team with Him now. And then come all the issues and our stand toward political powers, social issues, injustice. We should respect authorities, very important. But our loyalty is much higher, and our duty is not to remain silent.
Let's talk now a little bit about some practical points we can take when being on the side of mercy. The lesson mentions compassion, education, prayer, proper expectations as being requirements in our honest effort when practicing mercy. All of them are important part of our attitude when helping others and fighting on behalf of the oppressed. And as much as practical they are in nature, often we forget about the prayer, where God intervenes and He can do what is impossible to be done. So let's remember that God is, after all, the one who inspires our spirit of mercy.
The lesson talks about compassion fatigue. There is just so much evil and pain all around. Everything needs money, dedication is just too much. And not only we can get discouraged, we can lose sensitivity. But we should never get okay with that. Suffering is not okay. We shouldn't also think that we have all the answers. Listening, paying attention, getting educated, looking for good solutions, very important. Talking to God about all this all the time, crucial. And about our expectations. People will not always react the way we expect or make the choices that we expect them to do. Our responsibility is to provide them with opportunities and choices, but it's up to them. These are some very practical points for our attitude.
Moving forward in the lesson, it talks about generosity and then about peacemaking, and both are very practical, very tangible and measurable. However, at the same time, there is a strong spirit behind them that moves us to act as such. Have you ever been asked to help somebody on the road who needs a boost? We usually gladly do that, but how about going further, a mile more, and probably assisting the person in finding a good mechanic who's going to fix the problem in the first place that caused the whole issue? Or probably helping the person finding a good deal or sale in a store of a new battery which will fix again the problem. Probably you're thinking that this is a very insignificant example, unless the person who got into this problem, in this trouble, is a newcomer or an immigrant or just an inexperienced person who is just about to drive away his vehicle and don't know what to do next. Imagine how much more then your help will mean for them if we go the extra mile. Talking about generosity, exactly the feeling that they will experience in a moment like that.
You combine so many things here. Let me step back. Generosity. Sometimes we are very generous with things that are not ours. Or we think that the rich should pay for this or that. These guys there should do it because they can afford it. Generosity is not about quantity. It's an attitude toward life, the lesson says. It's not about doing enough. It's about being all in. It's not very natural to us, and we need God's grace to nurture it. Peacemaking was the other point of the lesson. Conflicts, broken relationships cause so much hurt and pain. Many are deeply scarred by the horrors of wars and personal dramas. In the gospel, there is healing and reconciliation. Can we be the ones carrying it to where it's needed? There is a special blessing for the peacemakers.
At the end of it all, we might have learned how to love mercy more than justice. We might have learned how to relate to others as Jesus did. But what about those around us? How do they relate to the people around them? Do we have a place in other people's business when it comes to injustice? In fact, Jesus commissioned us. He sent us to be like salt, like light for those who don't love mercy, those who don't feel the pain of the oppressed and the exploited. And as Jesus did many times, he wants us also to stand in protest on their behalf, to act on their behalf, to speak our voices on their behalf. The same way he represented the Father, he wants us to represent him. And this is exactly choosing to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God.
There is time to be silent and a time to speak. Be a voice for the voiceless is the last point for this week.
Yeah, we will be wrapping up our quarterly study next week with the lesson, A Community of Servants.